Okay, we're back to playing Mind Over Magic, and we're at the Asylum of the Ember Claw Magic School. And if you missed it, there was a first video. This is part 2, and I played for about 2 hours. And my wizards and their apprentices just fought a battle with some ghosts that invaded their school, and they were injured in the battle. Which, if you look above them, you can see some of them have these crosses, which are indicating that they're injured, and we don't really have an easy way for them to heal right now, other than going up a level. And so we're working on a learning stone, which is where they're going to study and become mages. And we're working on an enchantophone, which is a place for the wizards and the apprentices to recreate at night. They need recreation, and they get it by dance parties. It's the primary recreation that wizards have. And I would like now to build them a medical bed, but I need 6 phoenix flowers and I need 10 iron to make a medical bed. And I'd also like to make a ritual sigil eventually, which I need iron and phoenix feathers for that. And so I have some things that I want to get in order to build these different items. And I also have a couple of wall torches that I need to build to keep the void shrooms away from the upper level. And so I've got a lot of things going on. I don't have any research selected right now, which I'm going to choose research. But that's not really the priority. I have enough to do around the school without researching new technologies that I'm not ready to use yet. So the next thing I'm going to research is the creepiest quilting, which lets me build spindles, which I'll talk about those once I've researched the technology, and they're kind of useful. One concept that I didn't talk about at all in the first video, and it's starting to become more relevant, is that the wizards and the apprentices have what is called their conviction. And I've made references up till now about their hunger and their sleep and their recreation, and that they refill their hunger and they refill their sleep and they refill their recreation when they do these things. But nothing directly happens when they're hungry or when they're sleepy or when they're low recreation. But these contribute to their conviction, which is the morale or happiness of the staff. And so right now, Quinn has a conviction of, if I hover over this bar, it tells me his conviction is currently 35. As well as the current conviction, they have a target conviction, which is what their conviction's moving towards. And his target conviction is 25.5. So every hour, he's going to move 2 spots from his current conviction towards his target conviction. So he's getting less happy by 2 steps every hour. The scale goes up from 0, which is totally miserable, up to 100, which is perfectly happy. And you might say again, well, what do I care if these wizards are happy or sad? And the big issues with conviction is that when you're in the yellow area from 25 to 35, your wizards start miscasting spells. And so they'll try to take an action and just nothing's going to happen. And Quinn right now has a 7% misfire rate because he's unhappy. That's not the end of the world. He's just going to perform a little bit worse than he would otherwise. But where you get into real trouble is once they get into the red area where they're deeply unhappy from 0 to 25, which that gives them a break chance. And when they break, they go crazy and they might start eating lots of food, or they might turn into a magical monster and destroy the school. And they go through this break. They might get captured by the fog. And then after the break is finished, once they complete the break, they're on death's door. And you need to have a ritual that you perform within a period of time on a medical bed, which we don't have, to save them from dying. Otherwise, the character dies and you lose them. And they're gone for good. And it makes the other characters sad. So we don't want to do this. And Quinn is heading on the path to this unhappiness. So we'd like to fix it. We'd like to course correct. And his base conviction is 25. And then it's modified by -10 because he's very hungry, and then 0 because he's rested, so his sleep doesn't affect his conviction, and then -10 because he's craving recreation, he's bored, he doesn't get like a chance to have a break at night. And so those are really hurting me. Then he has no weight of malice, which basically this is a conviction, a bonus that you get at the beginning of the game that goes down, and you lose the early kind of bonus as it gives you time to build up infrastructure at your school to bring up the conviction of your wizards. He's got a -10 penalty to his conviction because he's in pain, because he was injured in the fight. They get this penalty if they lose more than 25% of their health. And then he's feeling unsafe because of where the fog is, and that gives him another -5 penalty to his conviction. And then he slept outside of a bedroom because I have him sleeping down here in the basement on a cot. He gets a -2 penalty from that. And he ate outside of a dining area. There was no table or dining room. He just ate food in front of the chest like an animal, and that gives him a -2 conviction rating. So all of these added together gives the target conviction rate a 25, and he's getting more unhappy. So the easiest thing to fix here is to just let him eat and get rid of this -10 very hungry conviction. So I'm gonna let him eat, and I had the staff and students on this not eating schedule. So I'm gonna get rid of that, and I'm gonna go back to letting them all eat twice a day. And with the meals, you can control what they eat, or they'll pick for themselves, and you can tell them what to eat. And gut berries are these really unpleasant berries that give you -20 conviction when you eat it. They can be turned into a soup, which is what I've been doing when I've been cooking at the gruel pot, which is only -10, so it makes them a little bit easier to eat, but they're still unpleasant. And then you can have a dire rat or a crowa if you're a wolfkin. They can eat animals live, and eating these gives 0 conviction, so there's no penalty. So these are the tastiest, but right now only my wolfkin characters can eat those. So I'm going to tell the wolfkins not to eat gut berries or gut berry soup, and I'm going to tell them to eat these dire rats and crowas when they're hungry. Quinn, I'm going to get him to eat the gut berry soup instead of the gut berries, so he doesn't take the -20 penalty. Ailani is a vivified, what her race is called, which is basically like a kind of magic puppet or a sort of Frankenstein kind of resurrected creature that's sentient. And they need to eat, they require eating, but they don't care about bad taste. So I can let her eat gut berries and it doesn't bother her. So I'm going to actually tell her to eat gut berries and not eat the soup, so that it'll save the soup for people who care more about the taste. So there, now we have them all set up with the meals that they'd eat. And so for Quinn, I'm gonna get him to eat some gutberry soup now to help keep him happier. And there's gutberry soup right here on the ground, and I'm gonna tell him to eat the gutberry soup. And my chests are at 10 and 9 capacity. So I've almost maxed out my storage. And so I'm gonna build another, chest, and I'll set that up right over here. And I'd love to build a medical bed, and I need iron, and so I have Stuart working on the iron, and I'd love to research new things, but it seems kind of pointless to do that when I still have all of this stuff that needs to be built. So Quincy's heading off to cook gutberry soup, but I'm going to get him to assemble things first. And so I am going to manually override his preferences, and I'm going to have him assemble the learning stone and assemble the wall torches and assemble the chest and assemble the enchantophone. And he's going to work on all of those. And then once he's done those, he'll probably go back to cooking. So that's great. That's something for him to do. Quinn is going to eat, and then he was going to harvest Phoenix Kisses, which is a great activity for him. I need some of those for the bed once those are done, so I'll just let him go off and do that once he's got the gutberry soup. Stuart is mining iron, which is a great thing for him. I'm going to need iron soon. And the two students are just putting things in storage, which is exactly what I want them to do. So everything's all set up and it's doing what they should do. I should check in on my refining beast and it's pretty happy. So it's getting affection from the students, hopefully, and it's got 80 out of 100 affection, and I'll put on 3 times speed and I'll let everybody do what they're doing. Quinn has eaten the soup now and he's off working on research instead of getting the phoenix. Instead of getting the phoenix flower, he's now doing this. And so he's now full and he doesn't have the -10 conviction penalty, but now he has a -10 conviction penalty for eating gutberry soup that'll last for 7.7 hours. But he has to eat something, so I'm just going to deal with that. So I'm actually going to stop. My father just showed up and wants me to do something with him, so I'm going to stop this video early, and then I'm going to continue with part 3 in the near future. So that's it for the this little while, and I will be back to play some more in part 3, which hopefully should be a fair bit longer than this video was. Thanks for watching.